All right, Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth. Peace and salutation to those of the hopeful elect. All right, just a few brothers from the GMS SF Bay Area camp coming together in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai to edify the Lord's elect. All right. And as well, be the watchmen unto the nation of Israel, man. Which the only ones that are really going to take heed are the elect. All right. But nevertheless, it's our job to, blow the trumpet. In the ancient world, in the city, you will have the gates that will protect the city, and you will have watchmen upon those gates. And they will watch for what? They will watch for the enemy that will come in. And then if they see the enemy, they'll blow the trumpet. All right. And it'll be a certain sound that you will hear to brace yourself, for the enemy, the invaders, So in a sense, we're doing that now. And we're blowing the trumpet, all right, proclaiming, the mysteries, the prophecies, all right, the judgments that are to come for, this wicked place. All right. And the only ones that are gonna, recognize that sound and take heed are the 1/3. Again, all right, the elect, the remnant. All right, but right now, all right, the enemy is here. All right,
I got
Esau, Edom. Oh, you got it.
go ahead and finish your point. I got a quick one just to back you up real quick.
Gone.
It's,
Esau, Edom is coming down with great wrath. You got it.
Yep. Real quick, just to back you up. This is Isaiah 62:6. It says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence.
That's right. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence. All right. So the real prophets, the real men of the Lord are diligent. All right. And that's how you tell, who the actual men of the Lord are, by way of their fruit, what they produce, the righteous works. And you see men that are diligent, those are the prophets. All right. Can you read that again, Bob Kasha?
Yep. Isaiah 62:6. I have set watchmen upon thy walls.
Yep. So the Lord has his watchmen out there. All right. And through the spirit and power, Yahweh Shemal Shai, Lord's will, we are the elect. But that's what we're doing. All right. You got it.
It says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night.
That's right. This truth. This truth is going forth on the internet. All right. And hey, you got brothers all around the world. So it's just a constant videos is being put up 24/7. All right. And the scriptures speak about, the Lord have us all speaking the same things. And what we're saying, hey, is prophecy. All right. You got
That's it. It says that shall never hold their peace day nor night. He that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence.
That's right. Keep not silent. So and that's what we're doing now. That we're seeing Esau, Edom. All right. The scriptures say, "Never trust thine enemy." Who's our enemy? Our chief enemy. Well, first and foremost, the heathen nations. All right, but the chief enemy is Esau. All right, and he, pretty much has targeted all the tribes. All right, not just the so-called Latinos, Native Seminole Indians, but as well as you so-called Negroes. All right, the Southern tribe. And we're seeing, them getting physical now. All right.
I got a quick
So
one for you.
You got it.
2 Chronicles 36:15. And the Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, power of their fathers, sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending.
That word betimes mean early. And even in a sense on the timeline, the apostles and elders have been out there going all the way with, High Priest Abba Bivens, all the way until now. That's early. All right. A lot of, trends that people are following. The apostles, through preaching a word, preaching manhood, preaching order. All right. And then now a lot of those trends, is starting to just barely now catch wave. But hey, the Lord has been raising this prophets of be time early, proclaim it, speaking about the sea hip. All right. People couldn't believe that was a actual thing. You know, World War III, people didn't believe that was an actual thing. Now these things are speaking. Now people want to jump on board and talk about it as if the men of the Lord hasn't already been speaking about these things. You know, but that's, hey man, that's their ignorancy. You know, you got that.
That's right. It says, and sending because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place.
Yep. So this is a form of compassion.
Yeah.
You know, the Lord, you know, giving us the heads up. You know, like, hey, get right, because Yahweh Shema Shai is getting ready to judge the earth. All right. We seen, you know, examples in the scriptures how the Lord flooded the earth. All right. And you know, they speak about that, you know, to this day. You know, the flood, Yahweh Shema Shai is getting ready to bring fire. All right. And you know, prior to the physical fire, the Lord is going to, you know, bring that chaos. You know, a lot of people is going to be dropping dead. This is the great day of the Lord. All right, but you know, Jake don't want to take heed. All right, this is a form of love, the Lord giving us a heads up. You know, you got
Yeah, and one thing to note too, you know, Yahweh Bashim Hashai, you can't go back on his word. So that's why this warning is going out so much and for so long. You know, this warning is flooding. You know, YouTube is flooded with the prophets, man. But this is, you know, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Hashai can't go back on his word. So the Lord is saying, hey, look, man, get right. Because when this thing comes, man, it's gonna come. And who is he that may turn it back? You know, the time to get right is now. You know, it's been the time to get right since you since you first heard this word. But you know, as we reading right here, this is Jake's mentality. But nonetheless, we're gonna continue to, you know, preach these words to the Lord. You know, take us off the scene, which is rapidly approaching. You know, verse 16. But they, you was gonna say something?
No, I was just saying, con.
But they mocked the messengers of the Most High and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai arose against his people till there was no remedy.
Yeah, that's nothing new. Do you see that going on right now? You know, but they did this in the past. They've done this to the prophets of old. They've always mocked. They've always despised. All right, because it's the same wicked Jake. Same wicked Jake nowadays. What are they doing? They're mocking. They're despising. You got people rolling up to the camp with guns. You got, you know, people putting all this hateful comments on the comment boards. You know, saying that we're bugged out. You know, we don't know what we're talking about. But clearly, prophecy is speaking. You know. And hey, the scriptures say the Lord's word doesn't go out void. So whether you want to take heed or not, hey, that's on you. All right. There's a special judgment for these mockers and scoffers.
That's right.
Well, you know, we coming into it, man. The brother got this. You know, pretty much the brother got this. This news article up. You know, we about to go into it, man. The sword is being sharpened. Yeah. You know. Well, since I said that real quick, I just grabbed this and then, you know.
Yeah, and here it is. You know, our people, you know, we're bugged out. Our people are calling us bugged out when, you know, we're preaching the gospel, and then here it is. We're letting you know what's really going on, you know, by the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, we're like the scriptures say, we're yet this day in our captivity. This place wasn't for us. You know, we were talking, you know, before we started the stream. Hey, this place was never meant for us. And here it is. You got Jake trying to establish things here. You got Jake comfortable here. So when you have the prophets of doom, so to speak, coming to show you what's really happening, we're the ones bugged out. But here it is. The economy's failing. Morality is failing. You know, the infrastructure is failing. Everything here in Babylon the Great, aka America, is failing. All right, but we're the bug out. But it's okay. Right. You know, it's all good. You know, hey, the scriptures say, you know, we are fools for Hamashiach's sake. So, you know, it is what it is. Again, you know, that's why the brothers mentioned, and you see things like this going on. The scriptures in Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, call it Jacob's trouble. All right. It's specifically for Jake.
Well, you know, you said, you know, Jacob be a fool. It's going to be evident in that time that when these things come to pass, what the scriptures say, then shall they know that a prophet have been among them? They thought Noah was foolish till that flood came, you know.
Because at that time, it never rained before.
That's it.
You know, the earth would just be watered by dew, you know. But then, hey, when they start seeing them drops, you know, then they started who they think about. They thought about the man of the Lord,
the prophet, because Noah was prophesying. was
That's right.
100 years before that.
Mm-hmm.
Beat time.
B times gone. And then they was trying to, you know, get on the ship. The angel closed the door.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Yeah.
And that's gonna be in this time, man. Right when these people, when they want the word the most, the Lord is gonna take it off the streets, man.
That's it.
Done.
And it's not like
crying.
you got to finish your
I was
point.
gonna quote the scripture. There's a crying for wine in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
What you gonna say, brother?
No, what was I gonna say? It's like it escaped me. Lord's will come back.
God, you know, hey, being in accordance with the will of the Lord Yahweh Hashem Hashai, it's understanding that America was created to be destroyed. You know,
Right.
America was created so that the Lord Yahweh Hashem Hashai's name can be magnified and destroying this place. And we're seeing that the deterioration of this place is clearly started. You know, the things that we're speaking about, all right, the scriptures that we're bringing up, we're seeing these things be brought to life. They're being made manifest.
Yep.
Let me.
That's the spirit. Remember what I was saying. Hey, and what we're saying, all right, from the apostles and elders on down, it's not far fetched. We got this, you know, I got this article pinned up, but I mean, we're talking about the MOTB. The MOTB is already here.
Right.
We're seeing the system be put into place by way of those digital IDs. That's a step before the MOTB.
Right.
All right. We see ICE going crazy. Hey, Trump's talking about putting troops in Frisco, but really all these major cities. All right, we see the economy literally crashing before our eyes. World War III, you know, it's don't get it twisted. You got so-called peace in the Middle East, the peace talks right now. But what Scripture say? When they shall say peace and safety,
peace and safety.
You know, I mean, hey, nukes. Hey, it's no question whether all these countries have nukes. What do you think? They got them just stockpiled to never be used? All right. So again, it's not far-fetched what we're saying, but hey, whether you want to believe it or not, it is what it is.
Gone.
Well, I got this precept real quick, Baba Kashaw. Proverbs 22:3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself.
Yeah, but that's for the elect, you know, because who really is prudent? Because when you go into prudence, you know, it goes into does it tell you in the definition?
Foresight. Let me see. I got you.
Yeah, it's foresight, but and it deals with wisdom. Somebody who uses wisdom. See what it says in the BLB. What is it? Proverbs 22:3.
Yeah, it says Aram. The interlinear, the outline biblical usage. It says subtle, sly, sensible. When you it says when you look up sensible, this is from the online dictionary, just real quick, Google dictionary. It says chosen in accordance with wisdom or prudence, likely to be of benefit. So again, you're dealing with wisdom, all right? You're seeing this evil, and you're doing things that will benefit you. And what's the ultimate thing that benefits? Getting into this word, knowing what's coming next, you know?
I got the Google definition of prudence. It says the quality of careful, cautious, and wise decision making involving self-governance through reason and foresight to avoid unnecessary risks.
That's it. That's wisdom. Scripture saying Isaiah 33:6, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times.
That's right.
The fear of the Lord is his treasure. You know, understanding what's going on, you'll be able to govern your mind, which govern your mind, govern your thoughts, and govern yourself means to what? Put your mind in control. But what are we putting our mind in control? Hey, we're keeping our thoughts in subject by way of Yahweh Bashem Shai in the spirit.
That's right.
You know.
Well, to add on to what you said, the scriptures say, "Blessed is he that keepeth his garments, you know, lest he walk naked and they see his shame." Hey, you see it on a lot of these Israelite groups, man. They don't know what the fuck is going on. Clearly, they don't have the garments on that they're supposed to have, or the spiritual garments. When these prophecies are coming to pass, you got to see how these people. Pretty much how they conduct themselves.
Yeah,
you know, that'll let you know. Oh,
you got it.
I was gonna say that's gonna let you know if they moving in accordance to prophecy. All right, the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So a prophet would foresee the evil and hide himself with in a hiding place of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, being clothed with humility, you know, and meekness.
That's it.
The times that we about to come into, man, it's no joke, you know.
That's right.
You got
it. Hey, Shemai Baba Kashak, can you read it again?
Fine. There's a little bit more on here too after this, but I read it again. It says the prudence is the quality of careful, cautious, and wise decision making.
Careful, cautious, and wise decision making.
Circumspect.
Yep, circumspect. You know, going into your conversation, your conduct. You know, and really, how can you be really careful in these times? Because you know, you can be like these. What do they call them? What do they call those? Preppers. Yeah, preppers. You know, but that's not prudence. You know, that's prudence according to this world. That's carnal prudence. You know, you might stock up on food. You might stock up on water. You know, you might even try and build yourself a little bunker. You know, what do they call it when you have a bug out bag? Is that what they call it? Bug out bag.
Yeah, bug out bag.
You know? You might have those things. You might have it all planned out in your head. You know, which and even more so, not even just these preppers, but a lot of these economists. You know, they're going into investing, having certain investments so you can live off basically your wealth and be off the system, so to speak. But all that we're going to see is not going to benefit you. That's not going to help you in these times to come. The only thing that's going to help is if you have that covering from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai.
That's right.
That's it. You know, the bug out bag. I mean, you can have all the gold you want. You can have all these different investments. You can be so-called off the grid, but Esau will find you. You know? And even if, even if you don't think Esau gets you, the marauders, you know, the Lord might have anything happen to where you might not even be able to go into your bug out shelter. You might not have your bug out bag, you know?
Yeah, this is not just a regular time of trouble, bro. This is the wrath of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. You know, the Lord is gonna be personally dealing with people, you know. You got your bunker, your bug out bag, whatever, bro. None of that shit none of it is gonna help. If the Lord got it out for you, man, ain't nothing nobody could do, ain't nothing you could do.
No.
So why it's like putting a band-aid, on an open wound, putting a band-aid on a fucking broken arm, that's not fixing the problem, man. You got to get to the root of the problem. And the root, you got to get to the root solution. The root solution is trust in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai and walking according to that rule, according to the way Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai want to be served.
It remind me of that scripture where it says, how these people not going to escape judgment. It says that, he ran from a bear, a lion.
Yeah.
These people, they're going to try to prepare and do all this, and they're going to be able to curve, certain aspects of hell, but then ultimately they're going to get God somehow,
Yeah, what scripture say, riches profit not in the day of wrath. So if you have any type of riches, it's not a profit, So even though, you got these people that are so-called preparing for economic downfall, it's not going to help. It's not going to help in that day of wrath.
That's right. Was that it on that, Shemaim? Or you got some more?
Let me, there is some more on there. It says, the quality of careful, cautious, wise decision-making involving self-governance through reason and foresight to avoid unnecessary risks. So
unnecessary
pretty much
risk.
Yep.
What you want to say something, Shema?
It says involving governance through reason and foresight to avoid. So pretty much what we're seeing down the pipeline is making us, pretty much getting our mind right.
Yeah.
Kind of like the scripture where it says Noah being warned of, things not, seen yet.
Yeah.
Move with fear. That kind of what I get from this. It says involving. You got it.
Well, like you mentioned earlier in the definition, it says wisdom. What does it say? Fear is the beginning of wisdom. Roughly paraphrasing.
Spirit,
Yep. So you got to have the fear of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because what he's bringing to this is no joke. So then once you fear Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, then what's next? Well, you do what he says.
Yep.
There's
a little bit more on here. It says it is the ability to look ahead, consider the long-term consequences of actions and use sound judgment to make choices that are beneficial and avoid future regret.
Mm.
That's it.
Hey, and that's it. The only way you can avoid future regret is what? Serving the Lord. You know, seeking the Lord while he may be found.
That's right.
That's it. Because again, nothing else is not going to help. Anything else is not going to help you. You know, riches is not going to help you. You know, you see like we have pinned up. You know, you have Jake. You have ICE coming in after Jake. It doesn't even matter if you got papers or not. You know, we got these National Guard troops. You know, we know what's happened. Revelation, the 12th chapter. That's by foresight. You know, that's prophecy.
Yep.
You know,
pretty much the those that have prudence, they're able to see what's coming down the pipeline.
Yep.
While everybody else, you know, they can't see that far off. You know,
what a book of Proverbs, I believe the first chapter, it goes into then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. If you could read that last part of that definition again.
It says prudence, Salaki. It says it is the ability to look ahead, consider the long-term consequences of actions, and use sound judgment to make choices that are beneficial and avoid future regret.
Yeah, these people, hey, 2/3 they're gonna have regret in the future. All right, that pretty much that they didn't get with this thing. You know, that's gonna be a snare unto them, a reproach. You know, because you don't have the favor of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, you open up to all manner of torments. You know, the scriptures speak about the same must know it after death by pain. You know, you gonna dwell in torments. But if you knew in that time when you're going through them torments, if you knew that pretty much there was something that you could have done to avoid it, you know, you're gonna have regret. But meanwhile, all right, while they was doing what they was doing, the prophets have been preparing themselves.
John, yep, and it's gonna get to a point where that scripture where it says, you know, when Israel come to ask you, you know, and then tell them such as to the sword, such as to the famine, because at that point there's nothing we can do for you. You know that there's nothing that the you know the those that are warning can do for you, because the warnings done went out.
Yeah. Well, like Kasaba, you quoted in Proverbs 1, it says, "Then shall they seek the Lord." Basically, when it's too late. Well, we just read it earlier. The prophets coming out beat times, coming out early. So that, you know, here it is. Jake wants to procrastinate. You want to wait till it's too late. Well, it's going to be too late. You know, now is that time. Well, scripture say, well, let me grab that.
It's high time.
Yeah. Jake know where that's at?
Yeah, I got Jake.
That was it on what I had to.
This is Romans 13 and 11. You want me to read it for you, or you?
Yeah. What does 10 say?
Verse 10, it says, love worketh no ill to his neighbor.
Oh no, go. Yeah, you can read 11.
Okay. Romans 13 and 11, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
Yeah, that's it. Now. All right. Hey, things are popping off. We're already in the midst of Jacob's trouble, and it's going to get further from here. You know, I remember the apostles always telling us back then, this was a couple years ago, hey, you'll know when you're in Jacob's trouble. And hey, we've been saying this is the beginning of Jacob's trouble. So what is going to happen? It's going to get worse. You know, but at the same time, you still have the prophets out here. You still have the prophets doing, what did it say? Day and a week, giving the Lord no rest, but bringing this truth out day in and day and night. You know,
risking our lives to do so at that.
You know, hey, you still got these videos going out on the internet. You still got the apostles, elders on down going out there on the highways and hedges. So that, like the brother was mentioning earlier, the doors of mercy are still open, but you can see that it's closing, you know. And again, we are at that time. We are literally at this time where it's about to turn up.
Yeah, because it's like Trump, he's throwing out a bunch of dates.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, we're gonna get troops in Oakland no later than December. Now he's talking about, yeah, we're gonna get troops in SF. It's like they're moving along with this thing. You know,
Mhm.
they're throwing out dates, and Trump is making it happen.
That's it. Well, if you look at their agenda, they always have that 2030 agenda, which they want to get done, which that's what, 5 years from now. Trump is out of here. Well, supposedly, if you go according to this system, by 2028. So you've already seen. So that's what? That's 3 years from now. But you see how fast he's going. You see prophecy going faster and faster. You see the economy going worse and worse. You see, well, the scriptures say our salvation is near them when we believe. They already have digital IDs all around the world. You know, they already have legislation on it. Again, all it takes is one false flag, one black swan event, and shit can be shut down. They're already talking about, you know, more censorship, getting rid of that First Amendment. You know, hey, that's like brothers mentioned. That's Amos the 8th chapter. That's famine of the word. So now is that time. You know, you got it, bro.
For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed.
Yep. Now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. You know, we ain't got years left. Lord's will, you know, Lord's will is it's not decades away. You know, it's not 10 years away. Lord's will is a matter of months. You know, a matter of months. Well, hey, 3 years, that's 36 months. In the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. Even if it's 5 years, that's 60 months. You know, that's nothing. And you know, to have, you know, the knowledge and wisdom stored up to you, to have your faith built up on a level, you know, ultimately we understand is predestination. The elect will have that faith built up. But hey, that the elect will have those characteristics of actually getting in there. You know, getting into it, reading, studying, watching these lessons, keeping in tune, keeping in touch with the Spirit, you know, so they always have that edge about them.
That's right.
That's right.
Verse 12, the night is far spent. The day is at hand.
Yeah.
Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying. Those are things that the world is given to.
Exactly.
That's right. That rioting.
Those are things of the flesh. You know, drunkenness. Well, I think it was because Saba, you mentioned it earlier. I don't know if we had the stream on yet, but what did it say? Like in the days of Noah?
Yep,
you know,
I got that too. Eating, drinking, marrying, and giving into marriage. Just, you know, just being indulged in this place.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, that's pushed on by this system. You know, to be in that sleeping, you know, fleshly state. You know, you want it now, you eat, you know, just do it. You know, you have all these. It's funny because on TikTok, you see all these different food reviewers, and I'm always wondering. I'm like, you see all these food reviewers, and they're always going to like these junk food, fast food spots, you know, taquerias, you know, just junk food type shit. It's like, how come they're not reviewing these nice restaurants? You know, we get nice small portions, you know, good quality food. It's always the through shit, you know.
And they be scarfing that shit down, man.
Scarfing it down.
Unnecessary portions. It says, not in chambering and wantonness, which wantonness means being undisciplined. You know, these people are completely engulfed in these things. Well, as the scriptures say, we use this world and not abuse it. These people have overly abused this world.
That's it.
Well, what the scriptures say, how Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai will no longer suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. You know, they ain't gonna fucking stop. You know, but amongst the men of the Lord, hey, as Apostle Paul said, but I keep under my body, you know, and put it in subjection.
Yep. And that's how it has to be, you know, coming to serve the Lord and really getting ready for what's coming on. You have to put that body in subjection. You got to put your thoughts in subjection. You know, so if you're out here doing like the scripture just said, being into that, all that folly and that shit that feeds the flesh, well, you're not going to be ready for what's to come.
That's right.
You know, it's a mentality thing. You know, we were mentioning it earlier, you know, like you got these ISUBK dudes, Captain Tazaria, you know, into folly, you know, into pushing to the congregation, basically what sounds like a message of you trying to establish something here. You know, that's not what we're in the time. Scripture says in Micah 2:10, now is that time to
Arise ye and depart, for this is not
arise
your
and
rest.
depart, for this is not your
Mhm.
rest, because it is polluted. It will surely destroy you with the sure destruction. Roughly paraphrasing, you know, but that's what it is. That's what we're supposed to be doing. A spiritually departing from this place, not
Mhm.
investing. You know, I mean, you know, you're not wicked. You got certain investments, but it's the mentality behind it. You
That's
know,
right.
that's not what we're pushing. We're not pushing investing here. You know, we're pushing. Let's get the hell up out of here. You know.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, and that just shows you they're not hastening, the day.
Yep.
Mhm.
Which if you're not hastening the day, that's pretty much hastening. You're pretty much bracing for impact.
Yep.
That's it. That's it.
You know, but Jake, they just gonna get hit from the left field, man.
Mhm.
Shoot.
Verse,
Like Jason, what did you say? Like that dude said, knocked out the ring.
it's
Yeah,
over.
Oh,
Jake
man.
about to get knocked out the ring, man.
Oh man.
Romans 13 and 14 now. It says, but put ye on the Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
Wait, read that again, Baba Gashah, bro.
Yeah.
Read that again.
Romans 13 and 14, but put ye on the Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach.
Put ye on the Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. You know, and what was that? Hey, Yahweh Shai was about that business.
Mhm.
That's right.
You know, there's a job to do.
Mhm.
All right, and understanding that wasn't the time. Just like now's not the time. Now's not the time to rule. We're not here to, set up something in this society. Yahweh Shai wasn't setting up something in that society. Yeah, they wanted to make him a king. They wanted to set him up on high, but he knew it wasn't time yet.
Come.
You know, there's certain things that had to be done. Just like now, there's certain things that have to be done. The prophesying of the downfall of this kingdom, this wicked kingdom.
Mhm.
Esau got to
Yep.
go. You know. But
Yep.
again, before that, or as he's going down, it's going all out chaos,
Mhm.
all out hell.
Yep. The prophecy's got to be fulfilled.
That's it.
There's certain landmarks, or what was it called, milestones that got to be reached.
Yep.
The Lord does everything in portions. Everything in seasons.
Gradually.
All right. It remind me of that scripture where it says there's a time and a place.
Yep.
I believe it's in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
But right now it's like the Lord is shifting those times. We're like, we're not in a time of peace and safety.
Mhm.
And the fact that they're talking about peace and safety, Trump saying there's no World War III is gonna happen. It just lets you know we're right. At the tipping point.
That's it. Yeah.
The final warnings is going out through spirit.
The final countdown.
Yeah, I think about that.
That's it.
It says, but put ye on the Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
Yeah, that's it. Not fulfilling the lust of the flesh, because the lust of the flesh is going to lead to death.
That's right.
Yep.
Again, like you mentioned, Apostle Paul said, we got to put this flesh in subjection.
Mhm.
Now more than ever, being in that stoic mindset, focus. Focus. The elder brother Amawan Gabar had did a lesson a couple of days ago going into that. I believe it was the elder. No, it might have been it was the elder Mwatazak out in LA. He did a lesson going into focus, and it's having that concentrated fire, that concentration. You're concentrated, and that's what we got to be. We got to be focused on prophecy. We got to be focused on the end and getting the hell up out of here.
Yep.
Not stuck in this place, because again, this place is one big ass distraction.
That's right. That's right.
Finishing off on this, Proverbs 22:3, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished.
And that's the majority of our people. Simple. And how long you simple ones? Are you gonna love simplicity? Proverbs the first chapter, because again, what's gonna happen? And our people are retarded. They have no idea, ignorant of the fact of what's really going on. But that's why they're the same shall know it after death by pain.
Yep. And it's crazy too, because the majority of our people are Christians.
Yep.
They majority if they're not a Christian, they read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they know about quote unquote Jesus and whatnot. All right, but they're not. They can't see that we're in biblical times.
That's it.
You know, here, hey, all the things that's going on in the earth, and Jake is not thinking of getting the answers to the scriptures. You know, it's completely blind. But I got a precept. If Jake didn't have anything,
Nah.
this is Amos 5:18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord.
Mm.
To what end is it for you?
Yeah, and like you were saying, that's the majority of our people. All right. Well, you got even Israelites, who talk about the day of the Lord getting saved up out of here. But what are you really preparing? Do you really know the gravity of what's coming?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the gravity of what we're in? But it says what? Woe unto them, which means destruction.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You got it.
It says, the day of the Lord is darkness and not light.
Mm.
As if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him.
Yeah, darkness and not light. Hey, that's the day of the Lord, and this is what we're coming into. So scriptures say, through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom. Now, Lord's will would be that number, the elect. The scriptures say the Lord won't put more than they can bear, more than the elect can bear. Roughly paraphrasing 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, the 13th verse. So there's going to be a way to escape. But for those, everyone else is darkness. Hey, like it said, what a lion met you and a bear. So here it is. You got Gurkha troops coming. You got ICE agents. You got National Guard troops. You got literal wild beasts out there. You got marauding troops. You got these people that are going to be hungry.
Yep.
The love of many waxing cold. Then you're going to have pestilence. You're going to have famine. Hey, there's going to be what do they call it? A polycrisis.
Yep.
And see, Jake don't understand the gravity, because the only way out is Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That's it.
Right.
And if you're chosen, that's the only way out. And that's why, those who like of us that are calling ourselves the hopeful elect, we hope. And this is why we're getting in and we're trying to do the best that we can in hopes to be saved, because that's the only way out.
Mm-hmm. It says, shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? How's it on that?
Yeah, man.
If you kind of wanted to get into the how many articles did you have?
Just one. I could just mention the other one. So yeah, we could play this real quick, and then we could Jeremiah 30 and real quick. But this just shows you, what we're talking about. We're going into what's coming to Jake and really the 2/3, but there is going to be a temptation. There's going to be a tribulation, for everyone. But again, the elect are going to have that ability and that strength to get up out of here, and that's right. Again, that only comes by way of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and if they're actually of the elect. But let me play this real quick. Can Jake see this?
Yeah.
Let me just play a little bit of it, but it shows you what's really going on. This is just the beginning, and this is, I'll just read the heading. This is from NBC News, and it says Chicago police, a select tear gas released on Chicago crowd as Border Patrol describes chase, crash, and arrest. So you got these people going crazy, but here it is. What? They're taking Jake in.
No.
I don't know if there's any sound.
Emergency in response to ICE raids. Officials voting to clear the way for financial assistance for residents they say have been negatively impacted by immigration raids. While in Chicago, clashes on the streets getting heated. Homeland Security says federal officers faced a hostile crowd
they
after
get
an
in,
undocumented
man.
immigrant rammed a Border Patrol vehicle while trying to flee an immigration operation. After a pursuit, agents crashed into the vehicle to stop it and arrested the suspects when a crowd grew. Chicago police responded to the scene and say some people threw objects at federal agents who deployed tear gas, exposing some in the crowd, including 13 Chicago police officers.
This type of escalation is what is going to cause harm. It's not the people of Chicago, but it's the federal agents.
It's the latest flare-up during the Trump administration's so-called
Straight up
Operation
martial law.
Midway Blitz.
That's it.
DHS posting this video celebrating 1,500 immigration-related arrests in the Chicago area since early
He's so
September.
proud.
All of these cities, we want to clean them up.
But the dramatic confrontations come as Homeland Security officials are warning Mexican drug cartels are now offering cash bounties to target ICE officers and other federal agents, including $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping or assaulting officers, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials.
That's pretty much it. But you can see, hey, that's gonna add to even more chaos.
Mhm.
They got hits on the actual man. Hey, this is
Crazy.
playing right into it though. You've seen it, you know. They're going after Jake, you know, and you know there's other videos. I think it was also Chicago. I know there was one in Memphis. Hey, they're coming after the North and the South,
Mhm.
you know. So again, you know the prophecy is speaking. We're literally here. You know, you can't say we're bugging out. You can't say that this is not happening because it is. It is. It's literally happening right now.
Mm-hmm. And the message has been the same. You know, speaking of concerning what the men of the Lord has been prophesying, the message has been the same.
That's it. And then the other one, what did it say? I'll just read the headline real quick. It just has a map of Gen Z protesting going on worldwide. And it just has, you know, there was one that happened in Madagascar where they pushed the president out. But it just shows you how, Madagascar, there was 22 deaths and over 100 injuries. And the president had to dissolve the government. But it's going on in Peru, Madagascar, Morocco, Nepal, the Philippines, Kenya, Indonesia, Serbia, Bangladesh. You know, so you see a lot of chaos going on, and again, this plays into prophecy. You know,
I got another precept. If Jake, this is 2nd Ezra 16, and I'm gonna start at 37.
that's it.
Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to get the definition of the word slack.
Yeah, which matches up with Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. You know, basically these visions are not tarrying. Meaning it's not, you know, it's not years from now. You know, it's not decades. It's not, you know, it's not afar off. We're literally living in it now, real time.
It says slack generally means lacking diligence, lazy or negligent.
Yeah.
So you got it, right?
Which is just, again, it's not slack. It's not late. It's not. Basically, it's not afar off. You know, it's now. It's diligent. As
the Lord is working.
Diligent. Exactly.
The Lord is working.
That's it.
You know, the Lord, he's forward in the prophecy, so, and they're diligent. You know, it's like a like a precipitous incline. You know, I'll continue to read 2nd Ezra 16 and 38. It says, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment.
That's it. You know, and you go into the birthing pains, you know, which we bring this out all the time. You know, when a woman goes through her time, she's about to have a baby, she goes through the contractions, you know, and they're small at first, but then they grow in magnitude and they become more frequent. And that's what we're into, you know, and then this is a metaphor likened unto what? Before Yahushua makes his return. So you have these contractions and they're only growing in intensity and in frequency, just like these plagues. So again, you have all these protests going on. You know, you got these troops coming, and it's only going to increase.
It says, even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth.
Mm-hmm.
and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side.
Yep. Every side. That's that polycrisis.
Yep. Yep, because people's not gonna be able to escape any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the famine, that's like a whole nother layer of hell. You know, then you got the pestilence, that's another people getting sick. You gotta, worry about, possible airborne type diseases. Then, you gotta watch out for marauders,
Mm-hmm.
cannibal, like the brother was saying. It's gonna be nowhere to escape pretty much.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a living hell.
Yep.
It says, "Oh, my people, hear my word. Make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth."
Yeah, and we were getting into that earlier. How do you get ready? By getting into this truth, preparing your mind, seeing the evil and what hiding yourself where in that secret place of the Lord,
And here's a cut right here on like the brother Yatab was bringing up, Captain Tazariak talking about they got land and all that. This is 2nd Ezra 16:41. He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away,
Mm-hmm.
and he that buyeth as one that will lose.
Yep. And when you go into that word pilgrim, basically we're sojourners. We're just passing through. In the grand scheme of things, this isn't our land. And we were brought here in to fulfill what prophecy mainly, and to fulfill a captivity. And ultimately, Lord's will we be of that number to be saved out of here.
That's right.
That's right.
But this isn't our homeland. This isn't where we belong. So understanding that we're just passing through. That's that mentality, especially too coming into the end. Understanding if you do have a house, you're gonna have to leave it. For the Lord. If you have cars, if you have possessions, you have investments, you're gonna have to leave it. If you have family members, that want to stay here, you got to leave them. If they scripture say, remember Lot's wife. You just got to keep on moving through.
It says, "He that occupieth merchandise, as he that hath no profit by it, and he that buildeth, as he that shall not dwell therein."
That's it. So again, you have a house, you're not gonna be staying there, forever. You have a business, your business is gonna go down. That's it. It's not gonna thrive. You should be in that mentality, because once that MOTB is implemented, the scriptures say they shall neither buy nor sell. So if you have a business, your business all involves buying and selling.
Yep. It says, "He that soweth, as if he should not reap, so also he that planteth the vineyard, as he that shall not gather the grapes.
That's it.
They that marry, as they that shall get no children, and they that marry not, as the widowers." And
Yeah, which
therefore,
again, overall is a mindset. It's a
Right,
mindset.
right.
It's a mindset
The
that,
spirit.
this is not the place to get comfortable. This is not our rest. This is we're coming to the end of this thing. And again, we got to be ready to just leave, or like it's the Passover 2.0, but this time we're not taking anything with us, not even these bodies. Lord's will. It's just the spirit, the body and the spirit is going to be beamed up, but then that spirit's going to be translated.
There's this one more. It says, "And therefore they that labor in vain."
Yep. Yeah. Everything you working towards, it's vanity, because ultimately what's going to happen? This whole place, specifically here in America, is going to be utterly destroyed. All right. Scripture say, I believe, what is that? Isaiah 34, right? That line of confusion. You're not going to be able to recognize anything here. So, having that mentality that this isn't it. We just pass it.
If you don't have prudence, then you are going to have, you are going to be putting your eggs in a basket, so to speak, that's going to get destroyed. You're going to be like, let me actually go back and read it again, Salakia. It says, It says, Salaki, where was it at? 2nd Ezra 16:45, and therefore they that labor in vain. Well, these people, they're literally, they think that what they're laboring in is not in vain, when the whole time is actually going to come down upon their heads, man.
Yeah.
But that, again, that goes to those that are not prudent.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, because ultimately you got to understand too the elite's agenda. They're desiring a feudal system, and they'll tell you straight up, you will own nothing and be happy. So what are you really working for? You're working for them. You're working barely to put a little bit of food in your belly, if that.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna have any type of what do they call it? Recreation. No relaxation. It's just gonna be work.
And they're still gonna give you just enough to get by.
That's it.
Living paycheck to paycheck. And that's cold. That's calculated. How is everybody just getting just enough just to get by?
Exactly.
Slavery, man.
Yep.
But that was it on that.
I got one. If Jake don't have anything, this is Matthew 24:21. It says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened."
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. This is the times we're coming. You want to speak on it, Shemai?
The times that we're in, like you said, this is going to trump every single event that happened in history, every catastrophe, every major, event where a lot of people, massive people die, extinction level type events. This is going to top that, because not only, is Jacob Trouble going to be in America, it's also going to be where the men of the Lord are at around the world. This is going to be a global collapse.
Yep.
Is this that chiefly, the deliverance is going to take place in Babylon in America. But, that's why it's going to be like no other, because the spirit of death is just going to overtake the whole entire earth. And that's why the divine intervention is going to have to take place. It's going to take miracles to survive. That's literally what it's going to take to make it to the end.
That's it. Yep. And that understanding is only comes by way of wisdom, by getting into the scriptures and knowing that that's the only way. The Lord tells us, he reiterates it over and over again. He is our salvation.
That's right.
Well, yeah, that was it on that though. I don't know if Jake got anything else. I got one more. If Jake don't got nothing, we could probably end off on that.
Okay.
But this is Acts 14:22. And it says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. Because here's the balance.
Yep.
Here it is. Because, we're talking about the 2/3, how they're not ready. But, ultimately, hey, the 2/3 ain't going to take heed anyways. But who is? The elect, the hopeful elect. So this is an exhortation, all right, to what? To continue in the faith. That's and right. That we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of the Most High. So, these things have to come, but, it has to come in order for what? For the kingdom to be established.
That's right.
So it's just, part of the journey, and it's going to be bumpy, but again, we just have to stick to the same algorithm. And what is that? Trusting and believing in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai.
That's right.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Well, if anybody's had closing statements, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Chakodash. Double honors to our apostles, elders of Great Millstone, who taught us his truth. Peace and salutation to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.